Welcome back to Ghost Powered Entertainment. I'm your host, Kanan Becker, and today we do a deep dive into Cinemax. And real quick, guys, before we get into this, if you could do me a favor and hit that like button, because that really does help this channel out so much. So for those of you not familiar with this channel, once a week I dive into one of the popular streaming platforms and come up with 10 more horror movies to recommend for you guys. And this week I did a deep dive into Cinemax and came up with 10 more horror movies that I think you will enjoy. And with that, let's get to the list. Alright, so kicking off this list is a film called 12 Monkeys.
You're a very good observer, Cole.
We have a very advanced program, something very different.
An opportunity to reduce your sentence considerably.
And possibly play an important role in returning the human race to the surface of the Earth.
So 12 Monkeys stars Bruce Willis and Brad Pitt, and it is a great little movie. It's funny because it's one of those movies that I enjoy so much, and yet I feel like for whatever reason, even though it has those big superstar names attached to it, it's just never quite got the love that it deserves. It's not exactly a horror movie, it is more of a sci-fi movie, but it's got enough dark, creepy elements too that I feel like it's at very least horror adjacent. And it definitely is that apocalyptic world, dystopian future kind of thing all over it. So the concept is Bruce Willis' character is sent back in time to try to stop this giant outbreak, this disease that basically takes out the majority of mankind. And he comes across Brad Pitt, who plays this totally nutso guy in an insane asylum.
This is a place for crazy people.
I'm not saying you're not mentally ill. For all I know, you're crazy as a loon.
And it's just all kinds of craziness with Bruce Willis trying to figure out a way to save the future, kind of going back and forth. And it's got kind of an acid trip, not quite sure what is reality because Bruce Willis' character is just kind of not all there. It's just a very entertaining, well put together sci-fi movie with lots of horror elements that I think you will definitely enjoy. Next up, we go to Ready or Not.
There's just one more thing, and then you are officially part of the family. At midnight, you have to play a game.
Why?
It's just something we do when someone new joins the family.
A game.
So Ready or Not is one of my favorite movies from the last few years. This just epitomizes to me what a fun horror movie is. It's got a lot of action and fast-paced elements, but it's also funny and quirky in a weird, dark, humored type of way. It's got a lot of edgy, dark, creative, violent moments, as well as stuff that just makes your skin crawl or just makes you wince at the very least. It has Samara Weaving, who is just brilliant. This might be my favorite role I've seen her in. So the simple premise is Samara Weaving's character is marrying into this very wealthy family, and the idea is after the wedding they have these traditions of these games that they play. Well, what she doesn't realize is that one of the games that they play is basically they chase her and have to kill her.
I know you're in here.
Jesus, you shot the maid.
Does she look like she's wearing a giant white wedding dress?
So it's basically just this crazy game of tag you're it, but tag being with a weapon as we're gonna kill your ass. But it's very, very fun. It's just one of those movies that if you haven't seen it, you are definitely missing out.
They wanted to get married.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Next up, we go to The Running Man.
An innocent man accused of a crime has a choice. Hard time or prime time.
Sensational. Perfect contestant. I want him.
He must pay or play the running man.
So this is a film from 1987 starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's actually written by Stephen King under his pen name Richard Bachman. So this is not like what you think of when you think of a Stephen King movie, but it does have enough of that flavor on it that you do recognize this is a Stephen King story. And it's in this dystopian future world where the most popular TV show is called The Running Man, and Arnold Schwarzenegger's character is a contestant. He is forced to be a contestant. And so basically Arnold Schwarzenegger's character has to run for his life. He has to run this track and survive. And there's these crazy professional killers. It reminds me a lot of American Gladiators, but if American Gladiators was for your life.
It's a game between life and death.
But the people that are hunting him are a lot like the gladiators on American Gladiators. They each have their own style and signature look and whatnot. Kind of almost think WWE wrestlers coming after him, but they're there to kill him. It's definitely an action movie, but with some very brutal kills. Enough so to me, and a dark enough edge that it has never quite been a horror movie, but I feel like it is very, very close. So anyone who's a fan of 80s movies will definitely appreciate this. This is just a very cool one that is just never talked about.
How about the light?
The Running Man.
Next up, the 2020 Invisible Man.
Cecilia, although our relationship was far from perfect, I thought that you would talk to me rather than run away.
Are you okay?
So this is the 2020 version of The Invisible Man. And I raved about this movie all of last year. I know that not everyone likes this movie. There are definitely a lot of haters for this movie, but I feel like for the most part, the horror community has embraced this. But I just absolutely love this movie. The acting is superb. Elizabeth Moss is just outstanding in this movie. The directing is superb. I love the way it looks. It has outstanding special effects. Definitely uses some CGI, but some really well done practical effects as well. Lots of stunt work, stuff that is very, very interesting to watch. If you watch the special features on the Blu-ray, I definitely recommend doing that if you happen to have a copy of the Blu-ray, because it is just very interesting to watch Elizabeth Moss being thrown around the room and just the way they were able to do a lot of these things practically. But maybe my favorite thing about this movie is the fact that they were able to create a very interesting, very modern, very unique horror movie.
He said that wherever I went, he would find me, walk right up to me, and I wouldn't be able to see him,
but still be able to talk about some really important, very powerful issues, putting a spotlight on spousal abuse and just abuse in general without being too heavy-handed and coming at you in just this overbearing way. It was just done in a really great way that just never took you out of the movie. So just in general, it's one of my favorite movies from last year, and I highly recommend it.
There you are.
Next up, we go to Trick or Treat.
This is the one night.
Don't forget your costume.
All sorts of things. Roam free.
Trick or Treat is one of those movies that I watch every single October. It never fails. And yes, it's a little early for October, but it is such a fantastic movie that I feel like it can be watched at any point in the year. But this epitomizes what I love so much about the Halloween, fall time, October especially time of year. The Halloween holiday is just splooged all over this movie, and I love it. So this is a 2000 film done by Brad Doherty, and he's also the guy that did Krampus, which is one of my favorite Christmas horror movies. So this is an anthology movie, but it's one of the best anthology movies in my opinion. This is just how an anthology movie should be done. All the stories are intertwined and just still connect in a really well done way. It's just rare to see something have separate stories and they all feel different, and yet they all still feel like they're in the same universe. And they all connect at the end very, very well. And it's just that beautiful moment in the movie where everything just snaps together and you see the whole picture. It's just done so well. But really what it comes down to is this is just a very, very fun horror movie with some very cool monster creature feature elements. It's gory, it's bloody, it's sexy. It's just one of my favorite movies, but especially for that spooky time of year, Halloween. This is just as good as it gets. Next, we go to Army of Darkness.
He's a 20th century guy.
For that arrogance, I shall see you dead.
Trapped in the Middle Ages.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. This is my boomstick!
So I will not at all try to say that this is one of the best from the Evil Dead franchise. It's probably the worst. But I still have an absolute blast with this movie. I love it. This one went for it. It really goes over the top in the silliness. It takes what they did in Evil Dead 2 and just pushes it even further. I know a lot of people think they went too far with this, and I get it. It feels like a cartoon in a lot of ways. It's very, very campy, very, very silly, but damn it if it isn't fun. To me, I just have a great time with this every time I watch it. But Cinemax also has Evil Dead 1 and 2 and Army of Darkness. So I recommend you have an Evil Dead weekend. Watch Evil Dead 1 on Friday, watch Evil Dead 2 on Saturday, and Army of Darkness on Sunday.
With the Army of Darkness.
You found me beautiful once.
Honey, you got real ugly.
This is just one of the all-time great horror franchises ever, and in my opinion, the Evil Dead franchise is the most fun of any horror movie franchise. So take my advice and have an Evil Dead weekend.
They breathe. They suck. Army of Darkness.
All right, next is one of my favorite movies of all time, and that would be Event Horizon.
Event Horizon is the culmination of a secret government project to create a spacecraft capable of faster-than-light flight.
Where's she been for the last 7 years, Doctor?
That's what we're here to find out.
So like a lot of people have coined, this is Hellraiser in space. I absolutely love Event Horizon. There has never been a movie that disturbed me and stuck with me more than this movie. And yes, nowadays there's other things that have taken it even further and more disturbing, whatever. At the time when I saw this, the age I was at, and when it came out and all that, it was just so disturbing. But yet, it's disturbing in a fun way, in my opinion. Because there's a lot of horror movies that are very disturbing and bothersome and stick with you. But there's no fun to be had in it. Whereas in this is fun. There's something very entertaining about it, even though it's disturbing and warped and gross and bloody, gory, whatever, it is still entertaining.
This ship has been beyond the boundaries of our universe. Who knows where it's been and what it's brought back with it.
The basic premise of this movie is the Event Horizon, which is the name of this ship, basically reappears out in space, and it's been missing for years, and all of a sudden it reappears. So a crew is sent to it to basically bring it home, to check out what's the deal with it, why is it there, where has it been, like, you know, what's going on, is there crew still on it, you know, that whole kind of thing. Basically, they go out there and literally all hell breaks loose. This is a very Hellraiser-esque movie, but it definitely has a lot of cool space elements too. Very sci-fi meets horror. This is just definitely one of my favorite sci-fi horror movies ever, probably right behind Alien. It's just that good, and I highly recommend it.
You can't leave. She won't let you.
God help us.
Next, we go to Killer Klowns from Outer Space. So this is just a silly, campy goofball of a movie. It is one of the most, if not the most fun horror movies ever made. It is still creepy, and especially for people who have a phobia of clowns. If you're afraid of clowns, then this definitely could scare you. But it's definitely got a creepiness and a darkness and a weird humor type of thing going on to it. But it really is just a silly, fun type of movie where nothing should be taken seriously. But basically these clowns from outer space, these alien clown things, come to Earth and just start causing all kinds of hell. Killing people, doing all these crazy antics. But that's basically the premise of the movie. It's that simple. But it is not a movie that's about the story. It's really just about having a good time and a lot of campy silliness. So this movie is done by the Kyoto brothers, who are well known for their special effects, especially their stop motion animation and things like that. But they're just phenomenal special effects artists. And this is their one and only movie. We've been waiting forever to see them do a sequel to this, and there keeps being talks, but as of yet, still nothing's happened. But They're just brilliant, and this is all their brilliance on display. There's just, to me, nothing to not love about this movie, especially if you're a fan of campy, cheesy, goofy, silly horror. Then this is as good as it gets.
They want to play games? They're messing with the wrong guy.
What are you in for?
Killer clowns from outer space. It's crazy.
Next, we go to Serpent and the Rainbow.
There's a door to the mystical, and you just walk through it.
So this is a movie I've recommended a number of times on different lists because it's one of those movies that still never ever gets the credit it deserves. So this is a dark, twisted, creepy, slow burn type of movie. So it's about this anthropologist who is played by Bill Pullman, who hears about this drug, this hallucinogenic type of drug that is made down in Haiti and given to Haitians that basically turns them into zombies.
Somebody brought him back from the grave. And I want to know how they did it.
It's based loosely on these true events where these poor Haitian men are given this drug that basically takes away their humanity. They become kind of mindless zombie type of people and they're forced into slavery. It's a true, real thing that happens, but this movie delves headfirst into that whole world where Bill Pullman's character goes to Haiti to try to investigate what truth there is to this. He just ends up in this really bizarre world that he doesn't understand and all kinds of crazy stuff happens to him. It's just a very well done movie, one that I've always enjoyed and I highly recommend it.
Don't let them bury me. I'm not dead.
The Serpent and the Rainbow.
All right, last up on this list is another one of those super fun horror movies, and that is Return of the Living Dead.
They only come out at night. They're mean, rude, and dead. Not them. Them.
There's 100 of those things out there.
How many did you say?
100.
So most horror fans at least know about this movie. It's just a very silly, campy horror movie from the 80s. So this is 80s campy, cheesy horror at its very finest, and I love this movie. It just has so many cool things going on for it. I love the practical effects in it. The zombies are just amazing, especially Tarman. Still to this day might be my favorite looking of any zombie. It has Linnea Quigley getting fully naked, like completely butt-ass naked and dancing around in the cemetery. It starts raining on all these punks and they're running around the cemetery. Zombies start coming up from the mud. There's just so much coolness to this movie. It looks amazing. It's funny. It's got its creepy, scary elements as well. Just in general, this is one of my favorite 80s horror movies.
We have a little problem.
What the hell is going on there?
Rabbit weasels. What?
This is just another one of those movies where you get your popcorn and you relax on the couch and just turn your brain off basically and just have fun. That's all it's about, and that's what Return of the Living Dead gives you.
They're back from the grave and ready to party. The Return of the Living Dead.
Alright guys, that's going to do it for me today. Please leave your comments down below. I love hearing from you guys, especially your recommendations. And if you could do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and ding that little bell, because that is the best way to keep track of this channel. And when I post videos like this, and I post videos like this at least 2 times every week. And I also want to give a huge thank you to my patrons, because you guys, your support means everything to me. And if you would like to find out more about becoming a patron, the link is down in the description. And like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button. And remember guys, horror can be fun. I will see you guys next time.